What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Blazers Uprise Postgame show. I'm your host for this one, Eric Brandt. Unfortunately, Torrey Jones cannot get his computer to start, so I had to rush to put out a stream by myself. It's been a while, so I had to update a lot of stuff. I'm sorry that it took so long, but we're here, we're on. Usually when I host by myself, I interact with chat a lot, so feel free to ask as many questions as you want. So the Blazers get a victory tonight. They defeat the Indiana Pacers 110-106. It was a game where they had complete control of in the first half, and then at the end of the first and second quarters, they let the lead slip away twice, and then actually got down by as many as 9 points. In the fourth quarter, they went on to hit a bunch of big threes, including a couple from Robert Covington near the end that sealed the game. And yeah, it definitely was not easy, but I think the main takeaway of this one is that they were able to grind it out and win the game versus lose a game that they had no business losing. So the fact that they won, I think, is a very good sign. I'm not going to take too much from this otherwise, because they did a lot of good things in this game. They did a lot of bad things in this game. And the fact remains, as long as Dame is struggling, we are going to struggle as a team to find our identity. And you can tell people are kind of lost knowing what to do when he's out there and not playing well. But the thing is, I felt like we played a lot better tonight when he wasn't forcing shots. He was running the offense, maybe used as a decoy just to space the floor a little bit. And then also times when he was on the bench and we ran a structured offense, I felt like the ball movement was good tonight. So I think we're seeing that we don't necessarily need Dame to be Dame to win these games. We can afford to have some games where he's not himself and be fine. And I think we just need to play into that when he's struggling. And I think we just need to let him sort things out on his own. I think he'll be fine. I'm not worried about him at all. And as Hail Blazers mentions in chat, he had 11 dimes tonight, so he's doing a good job of facilitating and running the offense. I mean, he forced a couple shots in the game, but I felt like most of the ones he forced were against the shot clock, outside of maybe the first three he took in this game. But other than that, I felt like he wasn't trying to push it too much. The last three Roko hit was kind of funny. Dame was wide open on the near side of the court for a three-pointer, and there was no pacer on that side of the court. And Roko just looked him off and shot the three. And that takes a lot of stones to do that, because if he misses that shot after looking off a wide open Dame, that's could have been really bad. But the fact that Roko made that, I think Dame will be fine with that. I think he's fine with deferring to other people if they're playing well. And I hope this can get Roko out of his funk, because defensively, this was not a good game for Roko. And once again, he fell asleep several times. The players were starting to get frustrated with him, I think, because he's a guy that normally does not make a lot of off-ball mistakes. And so far this year, he's been very, very bad falling asleep off ball. Yeah, Khalid, who knows if Dame would have even made it. But yeah, it's just a case where we need him to be better defensively. But I'm glad maybe he'll get in his groove by hitting a couple shots tonight. He even finished a dunk, thankfully. He actually made it this time. And he had a mid-range too as well. So nice to see Roko actually cut and get a couple of plays off the dribble. He also, there was a play where Norm had just scored a couple baskets in a row and was wanting the ball again and was wide open in the corner, and Roko looked him off and missed a three. But
But yeah, other than that, I thought Roko was pretty good on the offensive end tonight. I wish he would cut more to the basket. We saw CJ make a couple of nice cuts. Norm had a nice cut. First play of the game, I thought was a great setup. I felt like throughout the game, whenever we ran a good structured offense, it usually led to a good shot. And when we played ISO ball crap, we struggled to get good looks. Now, we have good players like CJ who can hit some of those shots, But overall, I think this was a game where you could clearly see that this team plays better when they get out and push the tempo. They get out on the fast break. They get out on whether it's a made or a missed basket. Don't let the defense set up and attack out of that. We got several good shots that way. And when we slowed the ball up or we didn't try to push the tempo off a made basket, they were able to set up their defense, and they were running a zone for a lot of the game. And so that was something where you have to push the tempo again, and you have to realize that you are having success with it. And it's a situation where the rebounder has to grab the ball and go as quickly as possible. You can't lollygag and wait to pass the ball to the point guard or whatever. So we really need to exploit that more often. In the games where we've won, I feel like our pace and our tempo has been very, very good and very up-tempo. Before the last 3-game losing streak, we were near the top of the league in tempo and pace. So that's where we want to be, I feel like, and especially if we're playing 3 and sometimes 4 guards in a game, get out and run. There's no reason to get forced into a half-court offense if that's going to be the case. And I also feel like at times when Dame is struggling, put him in the corner. Make him in that spot where Norm usually is, and let Norm shoulder a little bit of the responsibility. See if Norm can generate maybe a corner open 3 for Dame to get him going. And also to just to space the floor and see if someone else can take over. I don't think we have to rely on Dame this year. And it's pretty obvious, even as we're winning with him struggling, that we can combat this. So great game from Norm. Solid game on one end from Roko. We'll look at individual players more later. But yeah, pushing the ball up the pace led to a lot of good things tonight. And I'm fine with Dame just passing. If he wants to average 10 assists a game and not score as long as we're winning, I think he's fine with that too. And eventually he's going to get comfortable again shooting. So it's almost to a point where it's maybe, yeah, just don't force him back into it. I think that's causing some of the trouble. It's like, okay, you run a good play for Dame and he gets an open 3 and he misses it. Now it's continuing to mountain and snowball to the point where Dame's having trouble. He's in his own head, I think. I don't know if it's injury or the ball or probably a little bit of everything. Tired legs from the shortened off season for 2 years in a row, and then playing in the Olympics. I mean, this all could play into it, but bottom line is he's just missing shots right now, and I think you can tell he's wanting it to go in so bad, and I think he's getting. For the first time in his career, he's losing some confidence in himself, and I have no doubt in my mind that he'll regain that confidence relatively quickly, and I'm still not worried about it, but we just have to try our best to compensate for that to where he doesn't feel like he has to do too much while he's out there. And also, I thought when we went to the 4-guard lineup tonight, there were times where they were just isolating the one big we had, whether that was Nance or Nurk or Zeller, whoever. So that was a case where the 4 guards in that situation can switch. They should switch all picks because they're all about the same size. They're all about the same level defenders. So they should be switching all the picks. But the big cannot switch under any circumstances. We saw when they did, they would either just
isolate and go one-on-one against the big man, or they were sending Miles Turner or Sabonis right to the hoop to post up the little guy, and it was an easy basket. So in that situation, it's fine if you want to play that way, but you have to find a way to get through the picks. And that's been a big problem with our regression in our defense, is the lack of the guards getting through the screens cleanly. It's something that in the first 5 games they were doing relatively well, a lot better than they had in previous seasons. And then the last 4 games now, they've gotten hung up a lot, and it led to a lot of open threes again tonight. Thankfully, it didn't hurt us too bad because we get the victory. And I think overall it's just a positive thing that we grinded this one out and were able to come back and win after it seemed every time we came back or made a run in the previous 3 games, the other team would hit a 3 and just have a dagger and dash our spirits, and it was hard to get back. But yeah, just good win tonight. I'm not going to take too much from it though, because we still aren't playing the way we need to play to be a good team, but thankful that it didn't result in a loss tonight. So how's everyone doing in chat? I hope you're having a good evening. It's always better when our Blazers win, right? Yeah, so Blazers are now 4-1 at home, so that's an 80% win percentage at home, and they're 0-4 on the road. So there is a definite night and day difference with the effort level, especially at the beginning of the game tonight. So yeah, we got the win at home. We have another big game tomorrow night. Los Angeles Lakers come to town. They have LeBron out for sure in that game. So we'll see who else is out. But I think this is a game we should win. And if we do, no matter how ugly it is, getting to 5-5 with some of our struggles early on in the season, then we have a 4-game road trip after that. If we can just win a couple of those games, then we play the Rockets should be a victory, but the other 3 games are the Suns, Nuggets, and Clippers. So just got to get one of those 3, I think, split that road trip and win tomorrow night, and I think we'd be in pretty good shape at 7-7 after 14 games. And then we have a few home games. So yeah, tough schedule, but I think it's not too much to ask to beat a LeBron-less Lakers tomorrow night. The Thunder just did that last night. And then also to win 1 out of the 3 against the bad teams or the good teams on the road. Not expecting to win 2 or 3 of those games. I mean, obviously, I'd love to have them go on a winning streak, but just want to tread around 500 right now, managing this early part of the season as people get comfortable. And then hopefully as Dame gets back to normal, then we can go on a huge run against a softer schedule after our first 22 games or so. I'd like to thank the first donation of the evening. It was, let me find it here. It was from Jackson Burgess. He had a $5 Australian dono, and it says, if I donate every win, Dame shoots well next game. Let's go. It's the rules. All right, so Dame's playing the Lakers tomorrow night. He usually shoots well against the Lakers, so Jackson has wished it into existence by a donation, so I appreciate that. And we'll all be thanking you tomorrow night after the game if that comes to fruition. I don't know if Torrey had a bad shooting night, if he shot between the last 2 games, or what happened there. But, yeah. And for those that missed the beginning of the show, Torrey is having some computer problems and is unable to get his computer to even turn on right now. So I had to scramble to do this myself. But we're pleased to have everyone watching. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, before I get to the box score, if anyone has some questions, I'd like to chat with you guys for a little bit.
Taylor Packer had a good question. How many games until you are seriously concerned about Dame? Something is just looking wrong to me. It's not just the bricks. I think it's, like I said, I believe he's just kind of in his own head for the first time in his career. Like, most of the time, Dame is such a confident guy that he could have a bad game or 2 or 3 and then be fine the next day. So, yeah, so very funny, Jackson. Yeah, so it's not about how many games until I'm worried. I just know that this isn't Dame. This isn't him. So whether it is adjusting to a new ball or an injury, or he's just in a huge slump and needs some sort of slump buster, or maybe he just got married or something and it's messing with his his game. Well, I don't know. I'm just joking about that last part, but like something's off with him. He doesn't seem confident when he's coming off screens, even if he's open. But you can tell he wants it so bad. I think it's almost a case where if you have a player who's like trying so hard to be himself again and who's that good, it just, you can try too hard sometimes. And so I'd like him to just not make mistakes on defensive end and run the offense and just let that offensive flow, let your rhythm, let your shot come back naturally. When you get an open shot, take it, and who cares if you miss or not if it's a good shot. So just don't force bad shots, run the offense, and focus on defense right now, which you can control at any time in any game. You can control how good you are or what you're doing on defense, your lack of mistakes on defense. So he's definitely got to improve his defense. He was playing better defense earlier in the season. I feel like lately he's dying on a lot of screens that he shouldn't be, and that's causing some rotation issues when we don't get through those screens right away. So if I was in the locker room, and I'm not, I would never get anywhere near a locker room, so I'm not trying to say that I should be coach or anything like that. So I hope no one takes this the way they took Tori's advice on Twitter. But I'd just be saying to him, look, go out there, work your butt on defense, make sure you're giving all your energy on that end, make sure you're cleaning up these mistakes. Make sure you're locked in on that end and understand our defensive game plans and our schemes and all that kind of stuff. Because if Dame can figure it out on that end and be just a neutral defender, which he was through the first few games, it's a case where once he starts hitting again on the other end and playing neutral defense on the other end, I mean, he's going to be right back to being Dame again. So I would just have him focus on being the best defender he can be right now and being a facilitator, which he's good at. I would occasionally run him, just set him up in the corner, so if he gets a kick out, he gets an open 3 from the easiest spot to hit those from. And he's not trying to do like step back threes or anything like that. And just work on that. Maybe we saw Norm when he re-signed here. He said that part of the reason, or part of the thing he was told when he was come back, or when he came back, was that he was going to be more of a ball handler and facilitator to take some pressure off of Dame and CJ in the offense. And the way Norm is playing right now, I say let him get in the game and let him see if he can accomplish that, because if we can unlock some things where we don't need Dame to run the offense, we don't need CJ to ISO or run the offense either, and we can run the offense through just ball movement or other players getting involved and creating shots for Dame out of nothing, that's gonna ease him back into it. And so yeah, just try to get him some easy looks within the flow of the game, and just worry about the things you can control right now, and just keep shooting it. But yeah, I mean, Neo says he missed a wide open dunk too. I mean, when he got by, it's open, but the way he took off, it was from a hard angle. But yeah, I like that he was aggressive on that dunk. I want to see him dunk. I wish Ant would. It's only a matter of time. We'll talk about Ant in a minute, but Ant is going to absolutely posterize someone one of these times when he realizes just how high he can get and how he could draw fouls more often and go into the body of players. So one of these times, Ant's going to realize that when he's in the air and just throw down a monster dunk on someone, and I hope it's sooner rather than later. Yeah, that block that Near Zero 12 made, that or mentioned was phenomenal. How high he got up to block that shot was crazy. I really like the way Ant's playing, and we'll talk about him more later. But yeah, so Apple says last time I mentioned he looked a little heavy. I don't know if it's out of shape because a lot of players can be heavy even if they're working out all the time and stuff. Like it could be that he's like put on too much muscle or something. You know, I he likes to box and things like that. I mean, maybe he's just naturally putting on weight as he's getting older. But that could affect it a little bit. I mean, I know that happens to most of us, right? As we get older, he's got 3 kids now. He's getting a dad bod going on. Maybe that has a little bit to do with it. I think it's just a combination of all those things, and then the fact that he's having a few rim in and out, and it's just messing with him. Because if those just go in, I think he'd be fine. Mute that bozo. Says Norm is pro candy corn. Yeah, with Halloween last week, Norm enjoys the candy corn. So Real Stand Together says we need a 2-way scoring small forward. Yeah, I still think Norm can be okay in that role. Yeah, it's kind of tough because we always play with 3 guards for the most part. So we don't really get to see him at the 2 very often, at least this year. But so I'll just transition into Ant then. So Ant is absolutely killing it right now. He might be our best and most consistent player. And he needs minutes, man. But the problem is when you have the 3 guards as your other 3 good players, it's hard to have 4 guards that are all good. And yeah, it's just, I think we're in a case where we kind of have to play the 4 guards at times. I wish the rotations were a little different. Maybe that's another thing you can do with Dame and CJ too, is just play them closer to 30 minutes instead of, you know, I don't know. Let me check and see how many they played tonight. So, yeah, CJ plays 40 minutes. Dame plays 37. So, I know CJ didn't necessarily struggle shooting tonight, but it's a case where I'd like to see Ant and Norm get those minutes if Dame is struggling and if CJ is having a rough time running the offense or doing a lot of ISO stuff. And it's not going to be a problem anytime soon. But down the line, if you have a situation where Dame and CJ are always getting 37, 38, 40 minutes, and you have 2 guys outplaying them at their positions, it's a case where at some point it's hard to have that chemistry, and it's hard to have accountability if the players who are playing better aren't getting the opportunity. So like tonight, for example, Dame's struggling, Ant's killing it. Now, I know right now you almost have you can't just like give up on Dame, but at the same time, like Ant kind of deserved to be in there at the end tonight, and can't really question it because we got the win. But like stuff like that, when you're preaching accountability, it's got to be for everyone. So that's the problem when we run into this later on in the season. If certain players aren't being held to the same standards that others are, especially if they're making defensive mistakes on top of that. So tonight, or moving forward, I just want Dame to focus on the defensive end and the things he can control, because that'll also keep him in the game and prevent that accountability issue if he is giving it his all on one end, even though he's just struggling shooting. And if all you can say about him is he's missing shots, then I think we'll be fine. But yeah, I want to see Ant and Powell just have plays run for him, have offense designed around getting them minutes and stuff, like or looks, better looks than they get, and not just ISO looks, like actual, because we had several plays in this game. Norm made stuff happen. He had really good decision making every time he caught the ball in the corner in this game, and he'd either shoot a three if he was open, or he'd drive to the basket, and a couple times he kicked out one to Roko for a nice three, and a lot of that stuff was really good to see, and he's talked about being able to handle some of that workload on offense. So I would like to see him be given that chance, and just maybe even switch Dame and Norm's roles a little bit, just to see if you can unlock Dame that way. But for all those people saying like, oh, bring back Terry Stotts, Dame can't play unless we're running the offense Terry Stotts ran and all that stuff, the last few games we've given Dame a chance to run the old style, and it still isn't working. So it's not that. It is not our offense. It's not the sets we're running. It's just the way he's... I mean, he's getting good shots for the most part. Like I said, a couple of them were bad, but for the most part, it wasn't bad shots. And for anyone saying he's playing bad on purpose to get traded, no, he's not. He's not leaving. He's not going to request a trade. He's not going to pull a James Harden from last year. It's a completely different person and situation. That is not the case. And honestly, if I'm Dame, why would I want to leave right now? Like, this team is playing fairly well with you being very mediocre on offense, or terrible shooting the ball. So this isn't a case of Dame wanting to leave. He's probably just sitting there thinking, man, if I can just play better, like, we're going to be really good. So yeah, I think Dame is locked in here, and I think maybe it's having the opposite effect a little bit, whereas it's not that he wants to leave, it's that he wants to prove so badly that he's right for making the decision to stay. So the fact that he is trying so hard to prove that, or prove he can win here, or wants to win here so bad, I think that's more of the reason than him like wanting out or whatever. But for the record, as Slothbag mentions, crazy how people would turn on Dame so quick. Yeah, I'm not turning on Dame. That guy has earned my loyalty and trust, as he should with any true Blazer fan. And if you're questioning whether Dame should be on this team or not, or whatever, I'd have to question your fandom as a Blazer fan. And you're probably just a troll from another team, because Dame has done everything for this city. You haven't. When is the last time a guy like Dame would stay in a place like Portland? It's very rare. I mean, I guess you could throw Giannis in there. Curry had success, but true story. The trade that the Golden State Warriors made for Andrew Bogut of Monte Ellis, the
famous trade that freed up Klay Thompson to play, right? Did you guys know that the Golden State Warriors first offered Steph Curry instead of Monte Ellis? They tried to get rid of Steph Curry and build around Ellis and Klay Thompson. And the Milwaukee Bucks declined because of Steph's ankle injury issues. And they probably regret that. But so it wasn't a case of Golden State so smart and they were going to stick by Curry no matter what. They actually tried to trade him at one point. And so the fact that Dame wants to be here and has reaffirmed his commitment, I mean, you can't really say anything else. He wants to be here, and we should stand by him and support him. And you don't turn your back on a player like that who's given everything to our city and everything for this team. Just because he's missing a few shots. I mean, come on. Like, this guy's the man, and we owe him, I believe, to be loyal to him. Like I said, there's things you can do to counteract this, whether you want to maybe give him a few less minutes, rest him a little bit, maybe load manage him occasionally, give him a game off, hold him accountable in the defensive end for sure. But if he's just missing shots, man, there's nothing that you should be saying about Dame's washed or trash or anything like that. I mean, come on. Dame deserves us to stick by him through the thick and thin. And as a Blazer fan, I would hope that your fandom in general is just like that. All right, let's take a look at the post game or the box score from tonight. So CJ McCollum led the way with 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists for CJ. He had that one really nice pass to Larry Nance, who fumbled the ball out of bounds, who wasn't ready for the pass. But yeah, it's kind of weird when you look at the box score sometimes and you see CJ has 5-6 assists and you feel like he just had way too much ISO. So that goes to show you that the eye test isn't always great, but also assist numbers aren't always perfect either in terms of how well someone's moving the ball. But I really feel like right now CJ, because there was a time with the second unit in this game where he was not playing too well, and everyone else, when they ran a play that didn't involve CJ having the ball, it looked really smooth. Nance was making plays through his passing, and Ant was doing his thing, and I think it just looked smooth. And so this is kind of the same thing like I talked about with Dame. Either facilitate or use him off the ball and get him shots that way. I just don't like this offense at all when we get stagnant and rely on guys like CJ to have to make tough shots, which, again, he can make those shots. It's just a difficult situation when we're just relying on that to happen to be good. And that's something that we wanted a new coach to implement. And Chauncey has said time and time again that he wants us to play the way I'm describing and not the way we have in the past, because that has led to playoff failures. And so far, I think, we've seen flashes like in the first half of this game. We had 2 really nice stretches of ball movement and offense, and I thought that was good to see. But it's a case where we have to realize that we have to continue that throughout the game. We can't let up, and we can't just go away from what works when we build leads. So I think as long as CJ plays well, shoots well, but also starts to become more of a facilitator and a playmaker for others, which I think he could be if he really wanted to, I think this is a situation where we'd be better off if CJ can develop some of those skills. What's up, Carson? He didn't watch a single minute tonight. All right. What's up? All right, let's move on to Norman Powell. Norm was fantastic in this game.
8 of 14 from the field, 25 points. Had 2 assists as well, 2 steals and a block, only 1 turnover. He was 6 for 6 from the free throw line. He was the only person who got to the foul line more than 3 times in this game, which is really sad. Dame, we'll get to him in a minute, but did not shoot a single free throw in this game, which, yeah, I don't know if that's the new rules coming into play. I don't think it is, because Dame's not really a guy who foul baits, but there's got to be a little bit of frustration with him not getting to the line, and that's also probably leading to some of his struggles elsewhere. But Norm did a fantastic job. I love when he gets out in transition and we kick it ahead to him and he attacks the basket. He's got a really good sidestep, and when he has a lane, he goes up strong to the hoop. He creates space with his off arm and is really good at finishing around the rim, and that's just something that I want to see more of. I think we can exploit that and use him more as a weapon, and it was nice to see him have a big game tonight. I really like the way he's been playing since he came back from injury, even though until tonight the team success hadn't been great. Next we have Robert Covington, who had 19 points, by far his best offensive game of the season, not even close. 7 of 12 from the field, 5 of 10 from three-point line. Played 33 minutes. Let's see, 5 rebounds, no assists, but I felt like he wasn't being too bad on offense. He did have 2 turnovers, 1 really terrible pass. But overall, I felt like he played within the flow of the offense tonight. Defensively, he's still got to figure things out, because he's shouldn't be the guy we're seeing making a lot of mistakes and closing out poorly and rotating that badly. But yeah, he's definitely got to figure it out on that end. But nice to see him hit some threes and be confident enough to shoot a couple of clutch ones and put the game away at the end. And then next we have Yusuf Nurkic, who had 10 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Loved the first play of the game. Like I said, that cut by Norm off a Nurkic feed. I feel like those kind of plays could be there more often. I felt like we did a little better job of this game of playing through Nurkic and Nance. But then when we started to struggle, we went away from that. And so that's something I want to see more of when we struggle, not less of. So I like seeing the 3 assists, but I want to see that number even higher in the future. He did take the 1 3. Other than that, was 4 for 7 from the field. You'll take that. I liked his little sidestep shot towards the end of the game. I thought that was a big play that he was able to finish that one. Defensively, I thought he was really good in this game. Only plays 23 minutes, but he's the best at it in the entire team of showing and hedging the opponent's screens and allowing the guard to recover. And he rarely gets switched this year again. That's something that was happening a lot last year, even though it hadn't happened a lot earlier in his career. But Nurk does a great job of getting the guard through the screen, and I think that's going to be really important to unlocking our full potential in defense. But I think he's been really good defensively all year. I don't understand the people who think otherwise, even though if you look at the box score and you'd be like, oh, well, Jared Allen had this many points and this many rebounds. Well, those aren't always Nurk's or the center's fault. And I feel like a lot of people who don't understand that, like, just look at that and see that the other team center had a good game. That obviously means Nurkic was terrible or whatever. But I thought he was fine tonight. I thought he had a couple of stretches where he was really good on defense. Got us some stops, was in the right position a lot of the times. And yeah, so I mean, the numbers don't like jump out at you, but I thought it was a really good game from Nurkic. What did chat think of Nurk's game? It's always a hot button issue. Shout out to Petro Boomin 37 who became a starter member. Thank you. Welcome to the club, or the cult as some people call it. Just want to make sure I didn't miss any other things up there. Fly Guy 69 says he was soft and lazy. Scalabrini says he played well. Petro Boomin 37 says he was boring AF. Okay. Kyle Neely says decent game for Nurk. Still think he can do better. Much better. That 3 was terrible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't mind him shooting an occasional 3. Especially, I mean, the one tonight he wasn't like wide open, but he caught it in rhythm and shot right away without hesitating. I don't really mind that. But yeah, I thought it was fine. But yeah, I mean, as Bira says, better in 23 minutes. So yeah, 10 and 9 in 23 minutes is what, 15 and like 13 or something per 36, maybe even a little more than that. So Christian Clear says there was a super funny Bosnian crew behind the bench. That's cool. Hello, Mom. She just got home from the game. Asking where Tori is. Tori's having his computer died, so he is not able to stream or even do anything on his computer right now. Yeah, Petro Boomin says we brought him up to facilitate at the top of the key a couple times, so that was good. Yeah, I want to see that more. I feel like that's our best weapon that we're not utilizing right now, is him making, getting the ball at the high post and running some sort of cuts or off-ball screens in that action. And I'd like to see that more often. Slothbag says Billups explain Nurk's playing time. I might try to find a way to watch it, but I'm not sure how to do that, so not sure how to make that work. All right, let's move on to Dame, the final starter tonight. We've already talked about him at length, but let's just go over the numbers. 4 points on 2 of 13 shooting, 0 for 6 from 3. No free throws. Cannot remember the last time Dame had 4 points. That's crazy. Out of our starters, he was a -4. He's the only negative on our roster in terms of plus minus. But the bright spot is 11 assists for Dame with only 2 turnovers, which 11 to 2 assists to turnover ratio is very good. I'll take that. So like I said, outside of missing some shots and outside of getting hung up on the screen several times, allowing McConnell to get an open shot, I felt like Dame was fine in all other aspects of his game. But yeah, just got to reduce the mistakes on defense and eventually hit some shots. I think he'll be fine. Okay, and then off the bench, we had Anthony Simons. Monster game from him. He kept us in it multiple times when all hope seemed lost. 4 for 6 from 3. This guy's just Antomatic is what I call him. So he's automatic from 3 right now. He's just blistering the nets. He had 1 turnover on a travel. He kind of got stuck whether he should shoot or drive. But the drives he had one. I think it was on a fast break against Sabonis, maybe, or it was someone, and he took it right at him and finished strong. And then he had an off-legged floater in the lane, which was nice. And then the 3-point shot is just something. I mean, that's something we need to get him looks right now. He's shooting the ball with confidence. Most of the ones he misses are not bad shots, but like ones against the shot clock or ones where he has to like kind of step back or has a guy in his face. But if we run some plays for him and he gets open, that guy's hitting almost every three right now. So it's pretty amazing what he's doing. And he's so young, and this is so new that for him to have the abilities that he's now realizing he has, that the sky's the limit for this guy. Only 21 minutes tonight. That needs to be near 30, especially, like I said, on a night where Dame's struggling shooting and CJ plays 40 minutes. Just give 3 or 4 minutes from each of them to Simons. Get him up near that 30-minute mark. And, no one on the bench really played a ton of minutes tonight, which is... I don't know. In the first half, the bench was pretty bad in the first quarter. They played a little better in the second quarter. And then they were kind of hit or miss in the second half. But yeah, I want Ant to get as many minutes as possible. I think he's earned it. I think he's, if people haven't noticed, at least if you look at analytics, he is coming close to being a neutral defender. Excuse me. So, if he can become just an average defender, combined with what he's showing on offense right now, that's like a star level player. Talking so much, I have to cough. But yeah, so I think Ant is going to blossom as he gets more minutes, and I hope we keep him. Excuse me for just a second. This is where I would mute it and turn to Tori for a minute, but Kyle asked if I think we'll keep Ant. The problem with this trade value going through the roof is he only makes $3.9 million, so even if you wanted to trade him, there's not a lot of guys that match salary. And if we're talking about using other players on our team to match salary, you're talking about gutting the roster. So it would have to be for someone really good, I think, if we include Ant in a trade. Also, Dame, that was part of that Dame article that he'd be mad if we traded Ant too. So I think we'll pay him. I think, it's tough to know who's going to be the odd man out. But I think at this point it has to be either CJ or Norm at some point. Now, I'm not saying right now. We're fine for that. But at some point we need to trade one of our 4 guards for a forward. So, yeah. It's just a case where I'm not sure who it'll be. I mean, obviously the most logical is CJ because he's got decent trade value and he's also got a contract that can match a lot of other players. So I think at this point you might be pretty comfortable with a Dame, Norm, Ant trio at guard. But yeah, I don't think you have to decide that yet. But yeah, not really going to talk about trades yet too much because it's still so early in the season. But it's just tough because you want all 4 of those players to play well, but if they are all 4 playing well, it's really hard unless you go back to that 4-guard lineup, and that's I don't know. Yeah, you can't let Ant walk. You have to pay him. So yeah, we'll keep Ant, and he's one of those guys who, I mean, you don't just like let a guy walk when they're good and they're continuing to play better and they're that young. So Trent, is a little different to me because he had the breakout in the bubble or whatever, and then was expected to take another jump the next season, and then he kind of struggled at times, especially on the defensive end. Wasn't really having the greatest season, even though it was fine. It was not like he was playing terrible or anything, but it's a situation where it just doesn't seem like the same. But now you see Trent this year so far, he's been pretty good defensively. So you wonder if that was maybe a scheme thing, but I just don't see the way Ant's progressing, them just being like, okay, see you later. Andrew Miller, thank you for the comment and for being a member for 13 months. What's up, my guy? He says, 13 months when it comes to just making shots. Sometimes I feel like our opponent makes all their bad shots and we miss all our good shots. Not really, but the fan in me wants us to play perfectly. Great stream, Eric. Thanks, Andrew. So it really felt like that was going to happen again tonight when Indiana took that 9-point lead. Because every game, the last three, it's like we make a run, we cut it to 1 or tie the game, and then we play good defense, and there's like a bad bounce or something, and it goes to someone wide open for a 3, or even a contested 3, and they just hit it for some reason, and it just seems like we had some really bad luck with that this season. I'm not saying that's like the reason we lost any of those games, because it wasn't. I'm just saying it sucks when it just seems like every game we make a run and then the other team hits a big 3. And it's just frustrating. So, I do agree with you there. And honestly, it felt like that the last 3 seasons too. It just seemed like every time we're turning a page, maybe like some guy would get hot and just kill us, and it was really frustrating. Jack Treehorn, I have no idea why you only talk about Marcus Camby. It's getting kind of weird. But yeah, let's look at the rest of the bench. Nasir Little plays 15 minutes, had 1 turnover, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 2 of 3 from the field, misses only 3, and had 3 free throws, which is a good sign. And I think all of his good plays happened on 3 possessions in a row, I believe. So he got aggressive and took it to the ball, got the and one off a really nice set. I thought that we had some really good movement off ball on that one, which freed a lane open for him once he got the ball. And then the next time he got the ball, he pulled up kind of a 12-foot pull-up jumper. That was really nice. And then the next play, he drove again on the opposite side and got fouled. So good aggression from Nas tonight. He has had a problem sometimes this year when he gets aggressive that he's a little bit out of control, but I felt like he was a lot more smooth with it tonight. So like to see that. He also had a huge rebound in this game. I think he kicked it back out and we ended up getting a 3 out of it. That was a huge moment in this game. I don't know if we win if that play doesn't happen. So great hustle from Nas there. So only playing 15 minutes, but just make your mark when you're in there. I felt like defensively most of the game, I still want to see him get better on that end. I think he has a long way to go. He still has the most potential out of all our players to raise his ceiling defensively and become kind of a defensive stopper, but he still has a way to go until he gets there completely. Larry Nance Jr. plays 17 minutes, took 1 shot. That was a putback dunk that he tried to throw down, got rim checked. But I like the aggression there. 2 for 4 from the free throw line, so you'd like to see him not hit 50% of his free throws to get that up a little bit, but it was good to see him get fouled and get to the line. We've had an issue with that. In case you don't know, we do have a website called Blazers Uprise Live, conveniently, or just blazersuprise.com, sorry. I can't believe I just messed that up. So blazersuprise.com, and every Friday I release an article called Blazers Roses and Rain, where I discuss a few positive things that are going on for the Blazers and a few negative. And a hidden low-key thing for the Blazers this year has been our free throws are down. Okay. Shams bomb. Whoa. Is that true? I gotta confirm this on Twitter. Sorry, I was talking about the players, but this is going to take precedent most likely. All right. So, for those watching, Shams just tweeted out 3 minutes ago, the Portland Trailblazers and owner Jody Allen have launched an investigation into President of Basketball Operations Neil Olshey, hiring a firm to probe alleged workplace misconduct. Yeah. When contacted about the investigation on Friday night, the Trailblazers said, "We don't have a comment on this matter at this time." Allen also declined to comment on Friday night. Whoa, okay, that's a Shams bomb. Was not expecting this kind of thing this evening. Wow. All right, so what do you guys think of that? Yeah. So for the record, you know, I've been called a Olshey apologist. If he had any kind of workplace misconduct or anything like that, he should be gone. Yeah, so this is huge. Anyone who doesn't like him, I'm sure, is cheering tonight. Yeah, so that's crazy. No, you didn't, Hansa. Stop lying. Yeah, who knows what workplace misconduct could be. That it could be anything. It could be, I mean, I'm not going to speculate. So, it could be a number of things. Harassment. Yeah, I don't know. So, crazy. Yeah, was not expecting that. To the server incident, I'm not sure what that is. Don't need to make stuff up. Yeah, so this is a situation where obviously Jody has been has settled out of court, or at least Paul Allen did on her behalf for something that for some sexual harassment stuff that she had. Yeah, it's got to be big, like Tommy says, if Shams tweets about it and an investigation was launched, if they hired a probe to look into it. Yeah. Oh, this is crazy. So, yep. It's one of those things where there's no way he's going to get the benefit of the doubt here. So, It's most likely, whether it's true or not, it'll result in him losing his job. Yeah, like Sledman says, goodbye, Neil. That probably kills. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any way how he'd survive this, even if, yeah, even if it's found that he's not guilty with everything else that's gone on, if with everything else that's alleged of him, just as a person and as just the way people view him, even though until this he has never really done anything like wrong, so this is kind of surprising, considering I mean, honestly, before Billups, I mean, you can question that hire all you want, but the first 9 years he was here, there hasn't been a single incident involving any Blazer player or anything like that. The culture within the organization has been strong. So yeah, this could be a case where a lot of people around him were feeling the media, and a lot of co-workers of his might have been upset with him over the Billups thing. So yeah, I don't think there's any way Billups gets fired. He signed a 5-year contract, which just because Olshey gets fired doesn't mean that they can get out of his contract or would fire him as well. And also, we've heard the players all loved Billups. Dame loves Billups, says he wants to be here and get it done with him. So I do not think this is a case where Billups is in trouble or would be gone under a new GM. And besides that, Billups, allegations aside, Billups is, I mean, he's one of the most respected guys in the league, right or wrong. I'm not saying he should or shouldn't be. I'm just saying, when you talk to anyone around the NBA, every single person loves Chauncey who's ever been associated with him outside of this one incident. So it's not a case where a new GM is going to come in and not like Billups or anything. I'm sure he'll be fine with him right away. But this is massive news. Crazy. I think we'll probably part ways before. I don't even know. They'll probably put him on leave or something pending an investigation. But yeah, it's there's no way he's going to survive this. And yeah, who knows? I mean, first of all, we have to wait to see who the new GM is, whether it's an interim GM or if we hire someone flat out. I'm sure a lot of people are happy that this could actually be the harbinger of change. But yeah, just if Olshey committed any kind of workplace misconduct, screw that guy. He doesn't deserve to have a job like that if he did anything inappropriate. But yeah, so what if a new GM comes in, loves the Damon CJ combo, and trades Ant and Norm? I mean, like, I know you can't trade Norm for a few more months, but like, I mean, it's not necessarily a good thing to have a new GM, but yeah, I'm not going to speculate on anything or joke around too much about it, because I mean, this is a serious issue, and I think it should be treated as such. but yeah, this is definitely a crazy story. And as Keiko says, Portland is in shambles. No more bifurcation, says Zach. No to Channing Frye being the new GM. Great guy, but I don't really like a lot of his basketball opinions. No to Stotts for GM either, please. No. Let's see. I mean, yeah, people mentioned Danny Ainge being out there. Honestly, with our with the way people reacted to Becky Hammond being passed over for a job, I would not be surprised. Look for Asia Wilson to get promoted. She was just hired last year by Olshey to be in charge of, I forgot what her official title is. Not Asia Wilson. Who am I thinking of? Asia Wilson's a basketball player. What's her name? Someone help me out in chat. President of Basketball Strategy. Thank you. Caleb Pendergraph just tuning in. Neil Olshey is being investigated by the team for workplace misconduct. Whatever that one is. But yeah, so yeah. Danny Ainge is out there. Not sure how I feel about that. But yeah. I am just looking something up real quick. Give me just a second. Of course, this is old. Can someone please help me out with her name? I'm drawing a blank and I am going crazy. Asia Jones. Thank you. Thank you, Embarking Box. Yeah, so she was hired last year as kind of Olshey's right-hand GM. Like, her title isn't assistant GM, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just promoted her as kind of a... I mean, it wouldn't be undeserving or like a token hire or anything like that. But I could definitely see that happening. I don't know how easy it'd be to get someone in the middle of the season to come in and just do whatever. Man, this is surprising. Tori's not even chat. Someone tag him or something and see if he knows. He saw. Okay. Tori is not busy tonight. His computer will not turn on and he is unable to connect to anything. I mean, Chauncey could technically be in charge of both, but I don't think there's any way they give that much power to a first-year head coach who has his hands full on the court right now. So, yeah. hopefully we do not. Hopefully this does not result in Ant being traded. No, James Jones did not step down as Suns GM. I don't know why you guys are listing coaches. We're not going to hire a coach as the GM. She does. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Wasn't who the GM for the Thunder as well. It's been Presti for a long time. Dame does not want the job, Zach. How many times does he have to tell you that? Man, you guys are having horrible ideas. Big F from chat right now. What's up, Mike? David Armani. Read Sham's Twitter. Masai Ujiri is not leaving. He just signed a new contract last offseason with Toronto. I don't know about that, Caleb. With everything that's happened and his job being questionable in the first place, I don't think he's some sort of guy who's a made man or can survive this. I think no matter what the outcome is, he'll probably either step down or be gone. So yeah, it might be really bad for us. Might be blessing in disguise. There's never a blessing in disguise if it was workplace misconduct, depending on what it was. But yeah, so who knows? It's hard to know if the claims are credible, but the team has hired a firm to do a probe into it, so it's got to be somewhat credible, somewhat serious. And yeah, it's a lot of there's a lot of times that yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty unlikely that we're talking about something that was made up. I mean, I guess it's a possibility, but it's definitely something that could be or is most likely true if they're talking about it. Yeah, Clayton, I was just about done with the players and then got interrupted by this O'Shea news. But yeah, let's not be that audience that just makes stuff up since we don't know. And yeah. I don't know. Danny Ainge, I mean, he's experienced. He knows what to do. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be terrible, but it's someone who, outside of getting really lucky with a couple of big trades, one being the Garnett and Ray Allen ones, and then the other being the obviously the Brooklyn Nets one where they sent Pearson Garnett to the Nets for a bunch of picks that ended up turning into guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. But outside of those two big trades, there was not a whole lot that Ainge was able to accomplish, especially after they won the one title. But he does have Portland connections, like David mentioned. But he was a guy who was killed in Boston for
always being the guy who almost made a big trade but was afraid to ever pull the trigger. So if you want to talk about someone who is more similar to Olshey than people would like if they're talking about blowing it up or making a big move, trading CJ, whatever, I think he probably want to go elsewhere. I think you guys are all wasting your time just bringing up random names of people like Shaq, and there's not going to be they're not just going to hire some random person. So my mom says Olshey was at the game tonight. Was he sitting next to Jody like normal? Jackson, what do you mean the Shams bomb is true? I've been talking about it. So that's... Alright, so that's weird. Did this just happen during the game or right after the game? It just seems so... I mean, the game ended, what, an hour or so after, before the tweet? This seems, the timing of it, hiring an investigation, him being at the game, guys, stop making stuff up, please. It's annoying. Yeah, so, I mean, Hamza, maybe the distraction is good for him right now. It takes the focus off his shooting pressure. You don't know that. But I mean, if he was being investigated, if Jody Allen hired a firm to investigate him before the game, why would he go to the game and sit with her at the game? That doesn't make sense to me at all. Something's not adding up to me. I don't know. Yeah, maybe they tried to keep it quiet or something, like Nave says. That's a possibility. But usually, yeah, if it got to the point where your owner is putting in an hiring someone to do an investigation, I mean, they don't just do that at 9:30 at night on a Friday night. So yeah, this will be interesting to see what happens or comes of this. Oh, Friday night news dump by the Blazers. Right? That's all they do is dump this news on a Friday night. Of course it's Friday night. Yeah, Jody had an incident in her past as well. Yeah, I guess it's a possibility, Randy. I find it hard to believe that if you hired a pro to investigate someone, that you would just be seen in public with that person later on that day or whatever. That just seems weird to me. Mac Mall says I can see Chris McGowan running dual duties. No, that guy's not a GM. He would not be good as in charge of the personnel decisions. I don't see that happening at all.
Man, this is going to be crazy to follow the next few days. Don't know how fast this investigation will happen. It'll also be interesting if how much people will read into the investigation, how thorough it was, who the firm was, all that kind of stuff. If I mean, he's already guilty in everyone's eyes, so this is going to be impossible for him to recover from. Will there be an emergency stream if he gets fired? I don't know. It just kind of depends on the timing. I mean, it's a lot harder to talk about a GM firing compared to like, you know, Stotts getting fired, and we could talk about new coaching possibilities and what we're looking for in a coach. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't understand how if someone's being investigated for workplace misconduct, I don't think they should be near the team. I think it should be, I don't know, not allowed to be in the arena or running the operations right now. Just pass it off to whoever, whether that's Asia Jones or whoever. Just don't yeah. I mean, so Slothbay says, we're just talking-ish about Olshey. Dudes does kind of bring it on himself. Think he did an alright job lately. I mean, whether he's the best GM or the worst GM ever, if he committed workplace misconduct, he deserves to have his job, or be fired from his job, and doesn't deserve to work for the Blazers. So hopefully they investigate it properly. So DJ Vega TV says, what type of GM would you want, Eric? Let's all please do not spam chat. I'll take the call. Yeah, I don't know if I want that responsibility right now, but don't know if I know what I'd be doing, but I'd definitely be open to it. Not that I have any chance of getting that call, but so who'd I be looking for in a GM? Want someone who knows basketball, understands the game, someone who can identify problems and goes out and gets people who can fix those problems, and then also someone who, I mean, you don't have to fleece trades. You can just have like neutral trades or whatever, but don't be like the Pelicans and just who knows what your plan is and whatever. Like, have a plan, execute it. Yeah, just go through and figure things out, identify the kind of players you want. I saw Gabe in here he's a Phoenix Suns fan, and James Jones, who knows what'll happen if he's linked to any of the stuff in the Sarver thing, but the thing that
Gabe has been saying about a James Jones is that he really looks for players that work hard and just have a certain work ethic, and yeah, so we'll see if we get a new GM or need a new GM or not, but this is crazy. Of course Skip would trade. Who cares? Don't even bring up Skip. You guys have the worst suggestions. No offense. Honestly, the best GMs are people that you probably have never heard of. So. Yeah, wasn't Dennis Lindsay let go, or didn't he step down, or is switched to a different position or something with Utah? JD says anybody on Denver's front office should be a priority, but you can also look at it as I didn't like the Aaron Gordon trade, and I didn't like the contract extension they gave Aaron Gordon. Don't like the amount they paid Michael Porter Jr. So I don't necessarily like a lot of moves they made either. But when you have a guy like Jokic, who's the MVP, he can mask a lot of those problems. Lillard's not getting traded. No matter who our GM is, they're not trading Dame. So it's stupid to even talk about it. Yeah, I'm sure they'll hire some sort of firm to like a search party, because the people in the front office aren't necessarily basketball people or know a lot of basketball people around the league, so they probably just hire an outside firm or something. But like I said, don't be surprised if they just promote from within. I just try to keep it steady. And the optics of promoting a woman to GM might look really good for them as well. Pim Oras, $5 donation, thank you. Would you trade Roko for Nicholas Batum? I don't know. Their contracts aren't close to matching, so that's not even a possibility. And no, I would not. Batum is too old. Roko is still young. We could get more in a trade for Roko than Nicholas Batum. So no, I would not make that move. Maybe if there's some sort of other asset in there, but yeah, I'm not doing that right now. Andrew Miller with the $5 donation. Thanks again, Andrew. He says, this is crazy. I'm going to the Suns versus Blazer game in Phoenix on Wednesday. With what is going on with both franchises, just wow. Yeah. At least we're not the only franchise, I guess, going through this right now. Yeah, that situation's a mess. And Robert Sarver, their owner, is probably going to be forced to sell at some point, like Donald Sterling was with the Clippers. But, yeah, not a good look for either franchise right now. But they are definitely getting what they want. A lot of people have not liked Sarver for a long time. A lot of people have not liked Olshey for a long time. So, yeah. Looks like both of those guys could be forced out relatively quickly. No, I can't play the coach's interview. I don't know how to do that on my stream, so I don't have any way to work it or have it so you guys can hear. So sorry about that, but we're just going to have to pass on that tonight. Christian says there's not proof like there was in the Clippers case with the video or the tape evidence. But they do have, I mean, they have like 70 people they talk to. So, yeah. All right. Yeah. So Tori, for people I don't know, Tori runs all the streams and the graphics and all that stuff. I just come for the content, and yeah. So he was going to at some point this season get me all set up to do the graphics and have everything like a normal stream in case he wasn't able to make a stream, but we obviously haven't gotten to that point yet. Hey, Andrew Miller-Dro will be at the game as well. You guys should meet each other because you both seem like good people. I saw a question in here that I want to answer. I want to give the person credits. Of course, I can't find it when I want to answer it. But someone asked me what I thought of... Oh, it was Apple. Was I a Pritchard fan when he was here? Initially, I was a big Pritchard guy. Especially when he was slapping people in trades. I thought he made a bunch of good moves. Still don't necessarily blame him for taking Odin over Durant. But it's tough for me to say how it finished because he was terrible his last couple years here. But he also, I mean, what are you supposed to do when you're two of your three players that are supposed to lead you to a championship suffer career-ending injuries and never really play very well again? So, I mean, we were, 50-12 or something like that when those three, including Aldridge, played together. So it wasn't like what he was doing wasn't working. So yeah, I don't blame him for messing that up because it was really out of his hands. But yeah, it's just I started to not like him as much towards the end. 60-12, yeah, thanks. Pim Oros with another $5 dono says, how many minutes would you give Larry Nance and Anthony Simons? And do you like the double big lineup with Nurk and Larry? I would give Anthony as close to 30 minutes a game right now as possible. And I would give Larry a minimum of 24. I think you could get him 24 between playing some small ball center and the rest of the minutes at power forward. Worst case scenario, I would split Nance and Roko's minutes. Even though Roko had a decent game tonight, I would probably play them both 24 minutes. And then play a little them both out of position just to get a few more minutes maybe if they're playing well. And then if I like the double lineup with Nurk and double big lineup with Nurk and Larry, I don't know, man. I want to see it. I want to see him play those two more. I feel like they could. Nurk needs to play with someone who's going to cut and be open. We saw when Norm cut tonight, he found him with a nice pass. So I just feel like we should try different combinations. I don't really think Nurk and Roko are gelling as much as they should be. So I'd like to see them not just play together all the time and maybe having a situation where you mix the lineups more and we see if Nurk can get some chemistry with a guy like Larry Nance. I'd like to see it. Who you says he traded Dame for Dejounte Murray in fantasy. Is that a good trade? No, you got
you got hosed. And in a week, you're going to be crying that when Dame's back to normal and killing it. So, I mean, not that Dejounte Murray is bad, but yeah. Andrew Miller says Norm's inability is nice. I completely agree. Keep going to it as long as it's working. Yo, my guy, Treehorn, stop talking about Marcus Camby, please. Dame is not getting traded. He's not going to the Lakers. Like, it's just dumb. Dro says, Eric, don't you think it's weird Olshey is going to get fired? I mean, what could have happened after the game? I want to know, man. Yeah, I'd love to know, too. Yeah. Yeah. Jack Barker, please do not spam chat. Same with you, Gabe. Thank you. Yeah, if I knew how to put Beavis on, I would. Gerald Williams says, should the Blazers trade for Miles Turner? No, they should not. David, after this is over, go back and watch towards the beginning of the stream. I talked about that a lot. When do I think Ant will take the keys to Dame? Like 5 years from now. But I think they can. I'd love to see them play together more and become the next Dame and CJ. Dame and Ant. So yeah. I think it's more likely that Ant will eventually take CJ's spot and make him expendable then. You guys, I'm putting in timeout anyone who says Dame's washed or makes stupid comments. Just stop. I mean, there's no point. You guys keep just doing over and over again, and it's annoying and it's not true. Someone just doesn't go to a top 10 player to like like the worst player in the league overnight. Like he's not washed. Beavis, you asked for this, sorry. It's not true. You have nothing to base that on. You're making crap up, and it's dumb. Pim, Marcus Smart cannot be traded, and he makes way less than CJ, so that also does not work. I suggest firing up a trade machine and seeing if a trade works before suggesting it. I don't know what that means, Clifford Smith. Why not Rick Barry? Because he's 77 years old and he's I don't know. Has he ever been a GM? I don't recall. So who you? That was a dumb decision. You know, I don't think it's a case where resting him will help. Sure, load manage him a little bit, cut his minutes down. I think it's more just focusing on his other aspects of the game until he gets out of the slump. All right, got a couple more donations to read off. First is Carlton Pagano Jackson, $5 donation. Thank you, Carlton. Says, people love the troll. Dame will be cool. No real fans in the chat. just a few. Most of the people in chat are cool. It's just some people that think they're hilarious. Andrew Miller with the $10 donation. Thank you for another donation, Andrew. He says, Dame slump is overblown. Slumps happen. Relax and focus on what we've been doing well. Real fans love Dame, even if he's 0 for 20. He's still the guy who won 2 series with 2 shots, 100. Yep, like I said earlier, always Dame. Dame deserves our loyalty. So, yep. Yeah, I'm not going to be the next GM, but. Do I think Jeremy Grant for CJ would be a good trade for us? No, I do not. And it doesn't work, and I don't know why Detroit would want CJ. So, Macho Taco asks, why didn't Dame have surgery after the Olympics? As far as I know, it's not a case of surgery getting better. It's just something that comes and goes and is a pain management thing. So I don't think it's something that surgery would have helped. What teams do I think would want CJ? I still think Philadelphia would like him. They just overvalue Simmons, but if there was a third team that gave up some assets or something to get him and they got CJ too, I think they would. I think a team like the Pelicans would be dumb enough, but there's not a whole lot of stuff there because I don't see them trading Ingram or Zion. So yeah, I don't know what would work out there. I still think, especially if Kemba struggles, Derrick Rose has been kind of iffy this year so far. They might be interested in a guy like CJ, but again, what do they have really that we want? So yeah, it's tough. Boston, if they continue to struggle, I could see them making a big move like that. They have a new GM, their coach who got promoted to GM. I mean, I would love for that to boil over to where they had to choose between a Jaylen Brown and a Jason Tatum, and it just wasn't working out, and they decided they wanted to trade one of those guys. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely love Jaylen Brown. I think he would be a really good fit on this team, and if we could trade Roko and CJ for him, I would do that for sure. Dame is not jealous of Ant. That's dumb. Dame is... You can joke around all you want or troll or whatever, but Dame is one of the rare people who is not threatened by the success of others and actually loves Ant and would do anything for him to succeed. And that's how you know he's a good person. So to say crap like that is just... I mean, you don't even deserve to watch Dame play because that's stupid. John Sherman says, Bobby Webster is Toronto's assistant GM. He ranks as a top candidate for a GM position. Yeah, like people like that, I'm sure will be considered. Omaha KC King says Portland should have never traded Gary Trent Jr. So what does that solve if we have Trent right now? Christopher says Dame just needs his fire back. Maybe Westbrook will piss him off tomorrow. Yeah, it'd be nice if Westbrook gets in his head and they have a little argument and it gets Dame going. He needs some sort of slight or something to fix things maybe. Thanks, Zach. Dude, Arwen, don't make stuff up. That's so dumb. They're all good players. Why does it have to be a contest between them? Not everyone's like that. Andrew asked if it could really be as simple as the ball being different. Well, we've seen now Paul George and Joel Embiid, two really good players, say that the ball's messing with people. It could definitely be that. I don't think it's the main reason, but it could definitely be a little bit of it. Tori's getting his computer fixed tomorrow. Yeah. Always nice to get a death threat in chat. That's cool. Through emojis. I don't know what I did to deserve a death threat, but I don't necessarily agree with that, DJ Vega. It just could be a comfort thing once you're comfortable with it. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. He'll be fine. I mean, just I don't play a ton, but if I use any other ball than a Wilson Evolution, I'd think it feels weird. So, yeah, people are saying the ball isn't as soft and doesn't have the grip as the old ball does. So that could definitely happen. Tori, if you're listening, we'd love to hear your thoughts. He says he can't even wrap his head around this. Yeah, it's crazy. Gabe says shooters. Gabe Lauderdale. I don't want to confuse you for the actual Gabe who plays basketball, because shooters can shoot it. It ain't the ball. It's not necessarily the case when you've been playing with a certain ball for 9 years and you switch it up and you have used that one ball for every kind of practice or whatever, and now you see this summer Dame has to use an Olympic ball, which is different. So he had to train with that for the Olympics, and then going to the Wilson ball when he got back. There's definitely a chance that it is in his head, at least, that the ball feels weird or whatever, and that could mess things up. Yep, I agree with Tori. The ball, or a lot of people could get their wish with Neil Olshey. Yes, I agree, Mario. Anthony Simons is a better player than Gary Trent. I actually think Norman Powell is too. But Trent is still young enough to where he can get better, and he looks like he's improved on defense. His shooting hasn't been great tonight, or this year so far, but definitely getting a lot of steals. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's a great defender, but he's certainly improved on that. Ah. I wish I could mod Tori so we know. I think there's a fake Tori and a real Tori in here right now. JD says the Pro Stats camp is planning a parade. Yeah, I don't want to make it about that. Yeah. So the smart Gabriel Payne says switching from a Spalding to Wilson is not fun. It can absolutely take a period of time to adjust, which I agree with. All right, just trying to see if there's any latest on here. It does feel like when Dame shoots, it's on double rims and everyone else is playing on regular rims. Society is heartless. They could not have signed Marquise Chris instead of Keljin Blevins. Keljin Blevins is on a two-way contract he's eligible for since he has less than 4 years of service in the NBA. Chris has passed his 4 years of eligibility, so he is no longer eligible for a two-way contract, just like Dennis Smith Jr., Patrick Patterson, and Quinn Cook all were not. Mario, you don't know that, though. I mean, the next GM could love CJ more than Olshey does. And also, if you read the article, the Chris Haynes article from a few days ago, Dame makes it very, very clear that he wants to play with CJ and Nurk. And so it could be a case where a new GM comes in, wants to please Dame, and Dame's like, no, don't trade CJ. And that new GM is going to go along with what Dame wishes. So, yeah. I was just messing with you, Gabe Lauderdale. It's just, I don't know how you can say it's for sure not the ball at all, because several players are complaining about it. They've said it feels different. The shooting percentages are the lowest they've been in 17 years for three-point shooting and over 20 years for field goal percentage. So, yeah. It has not been 8 years. We have a new coach this year. We have we only have 4 players on a roster from the 2019 Western Conference Finals run, and one of those players didn't even play in the playoffs that year. 2 of the players didn't play because Ant really didn't play. He wasn't in the rotation. So from just 2019, we only have 2 players from that team. So, yeah, it's not a case of it's been the same for 8 years or whatever. That's crazy. Like, people just think that sounds smart to say, and it's not true. Arwen says it's hard to watch when the NBA is moving fast, and here we are slowly dribbling the ball up and letting the defense always set. Well, I think they'll notice that they were playing with pace and having success in tonight's game, and in the games they've won this year, they've had success with that. So I don't think it's a case of anymore where we'll just never adjust or do things that are working or find ways to improve the offense. I think we actually have a coach who will try new things. Yeah, I mean, Raptors, there's plenty of examples of teams that traded players, correct. I'm just saying we don't know. I mean, a new GM could come in wanting to trade everyone, or he could come in wanting to give this roster a shot or see what he has for a year before he makes a bunch of moves. Shervin asked if an interim GM would have the green light to make a big move. I don't know, man. That's tough to know. Yeah. An interim GM would probably be hesitant to do much to mess things up, but I don't know. The 1 year we had an interim GM, it was Chad Buchanan, and he, I mean, we had a mutiny that year, and it was a terrible season, but he did make maybe the most important trade in franchise history, and that was trading Gerald Wallace to at the time, the New Jersey Nets for a top 3 protected first round pick, and that ended up turning into Damian Lillard. So it wouldn't be out of the. I mean, there's precedent, I guess. I mean, he was the GM the whole season, but there is precedent of an interim GM making a move like that during the season he was an interim GM. There is 0% chance that Lillard is going to the Lakers. Nice try though, Vince. The GM with braces. Are you talking about Rich Cho? Mario asked if I do CJ and 2 first for Cat. Sure, but why would Minnesota do that? I know you want Lillard. It's not happening. Talked about Ainge earlier. It's Terrence. I mean, sure, I guess he's probably a possibility. All right, who are you? That gets a timeout because you're just being dumb. Come on, man. You're better than this. I gave you several warnings, man. Your drivel is pointless, and I'm getting sick of reading it in chat. So take a timeout. Dame can't lead a team, so he's gonna have to make another rap album. Yeah, real original. Oh, my mom wants me to finish the players. It seems kind of pointless at this time, but yeah, so Nance, I thought, did a pretty good job in the 17 minutes he played. He was facilitating well. Still like to see him be a little more aggressive. I think he's still kind of feeling out his role and trying to figure out what to do. I felt like the times where we went small with him at center, I thought worked out okay in this game. Once again, I'd like to see him not switch as much when he's in there as the small ball 5, because that leaves a guard almost having to guard a big. So he's got to try to find a way to avoid that, but the guard also has to help him out in that regard. And then Snell misses only 2 threes. Played 6 minutes. I thought he was okay on defense, but didn't really make a huge impact in this game. And Zeller played 10 minutes. He had 6 rebounds, so I guess that's good. But other than that, I thought he was really bad in this one. This might have been his worst game overall this season. Hopefully, it was just a bad matchup or whatever for him. But I thought he kind of struggled in this one, but I'm not down on him long term. And that's all the 9 players or 10 players that played tonight. So not a huge amount of minutes for the bench. But yeah. Yeah, I agree, Dro. He says Tony Sundays more minutes. You can't catch a rhythm in 6 minutes. Not fair at all. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, if he's gonna play, he needs more minutes. I agree, especially since he hasn't really played much a lot lately, but he's still kind of getting into rhythm. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he should be in the rotation or if he should just play some spot minutes like that. But yeah.
either want him to be consistently getting minutes or none is probably the better way to go. But I don't know. I think there's some players that deserve more playing time right now. I don't know if necessarily Snell does quite yet or not, but I don't have a problem with him being thrown out there situationally either. Andrew Miller with a $5 donation. He's getting philosophical on us. With the benefit of hindsight, if you were in Stotts or Olshay's shoes, the last 3 years, could we have done things differently for a chip? Yeah, I mean, we could have fired Stotts 3 or 4 years ago or after the Pelican series and hired Billups then or a different coach then, and maybe could have had a different trajectory. Could have, I mean, this is a little bit of cheating because it was 4 years ago, but could have obviously handled the 2017 draft differently. Could have also offered CJ in a trade for Paul George. Maybe they accept that instead of Oladipo. Yeah. Could have hired Steve Kerr, but that was 2014, I think. So that's going back 7 years. I don't know if you can quite use hindsight that far in the past. I would have traded Whiteside at the deadline. I know it's not a surprise to those that have been with Blazers Uprise for a while. I would have traded Whiteside at the deadline in 2020. Yeah. I know it's being kind of funny, but if we had, because Whiteside was terrible in the bubble, so I mean, there was no way to foresee there being a huge break in between games, but yeah, I would have definitely moved Whiteside, even if it would have cost us. At the time, we didn't know the season was going to be shut down, so it might have cost us a playoff chance. I still might have done it. Josh 2021, please don't spam, but if I had to predict, I'm still sticking by my prediction that this team will be in the top four. I think I picked them at 4th going into the season. I still think there's a good team in there. I think they've shown signs of being a really good team. Not as much the last few games, but I mean, at stretches tonight, they build a 16-point lead and look really good, and then they kind of go away from what got them the lead. But yeah, I still believe once they get through this tough 22-game stretch to start the season that they'll be fine. I disagree that there aren't enough minutes, Shervin, because CJ played 40 minutes in this game and Dame played 37, even though he struggled. I think you just take a few minutes from both of them and you get closer to 30. What do I think of Nas so far? I think he's shown really good energy and hustle. He's had several key offensive rebounds for us this season. I like the way he's shooting the ball. His jump shot looks smooth, and I think when it does, he can develop into a pretty good shooter. I feel like he needs to develop a little bit more of an attitude on defense, just like kind of a, like every player who's a good defender has that kind of mentality that I'm the best defender and no one's going to get by me. So I think just kind of an edge to him. But I like how he's kind of adjusted to take his time on some of his drives instead of getting out of control. Yep. Embarking Box, you have a good night, man. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, kick some Laker butt. Melo's going to shoot 30 times tomorrow, says Apple. Yeah, it's probably a good... that is a good possibility that he'll shoot a ton. But, yeah. I think Melo has... I mean, he's had some bad games, of course. He's always kind of fluctuated, having really good shooting games and really bad shooting games. But for the most part, he's been pretty good, and he's shooting within the offense. I know a ton of people were complaining last night that Westbrook took the final shot instead of giving it to Melo. Yeah. Do I think we can stop AD? Well, I mean, AD is a really tough cover for most teams. But Roko has done a pretty good job on him in the past. And I also think that Larry Nance matches up well with him as well. So I wouldn't be afraid of AD a ton. Yeah, he'll probably fall down and be hurt and then come back later in the game too. So we just got to take advantage of the time when he's not on the court. But yeah, I haven't really liked a lot of their rotations. I know they changed their starting lineup recently, but I don't know. I think we're fine. It might even be a situation where you let AD take a lot of shots. And then just kind of stay home on the other guys. And yeah, be tough on a back-to-back. That's another reason why I think Ant and Nas and Larry Nance deserve more minutes, is so they're with all these. I think we play 16 games this month in 30 days, so we got to have fresh legs by the end of the month. So on the second night of a back-to-back, I'd like to see some of those other guys get a little more minutes, but knowing what'll happen, and the Blazers will play Dame like 40 minutes tomorrow night. Yeah. Is that from Chris Haynes' story? I gotta look this up. Yeah, I'm gonna go read the Chris Haynes tweet for everyone. And then I'll probably sign off here in a little bit. All right. Yahoo sources. This is according to Chris Haynes, obviously of Yahoo. Portland Trailblazers launch investigation into GM Neil O'Shea, with staffers alleging a 10-year toxic, hostile work environment of intimidation, public profanity-laced tirades, mental anguish, among other bullying tactics. I'm just going to kind of skim over the interview as well. The organization listed the services of O'Melveny and Myers to run the independent investigation. The firm began interviewing employees and the team's front office off-site this week. Several staffers expressing the relief because of the investigation after 10 years of mistreatment, leading to mental and physical stress. So, yeah. Several staff members raised concerns with the organization's mishandling after the death of former video coordinator Zach Cooper in April of 2020. I'm not really sure what the story is there. If that is on O'Shea or something else within the organization. The firm is expected to submit its findings to team owner Jody Allen, and a decision on O'Shea's future will be determined soon after.
Most staff members are hopeful that the investigation brings change after feeling voiceless and unheard for so long. That's the article. I mean, yeah, if this is a pattern of behavior and not like a one-time incident, I don't see how he survives that. And it doesn't appear to be like sexual harassment or anything like that. Which, I mean, harassment's bad either way, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's tough because I mean, I don't know how to phrase this. I mean, I could definitely see Olshey being a huge bully and being a jerk to everyone and no one liking him. That's obvious, but is that necessarily harassment too? Yeah. Like Zach says, it seems like people weren't allowed to talk about it or get it out there, so it makes a lot of sense if they feel relieved that they can finally talk about it. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, it doesn't really matter what I think. I'm pretty sure that Olshey is done here in Portland once this investigation concludes, and whether you call it a toxic workplace or if it's just cancel culture. I'm not saying it is cancel culture. I'm just saying if it was, it's hard to distinguish that, especially when everyone hates the guy. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's done. His name is, how do you know that? Says he's really happy to finally get a person who's going to pull the trigger. I mean, we don't know if a new GM would. I already said that, so it's dumb to just assume that a new GM, whether he or she would just come out and trade everyone and make all these moves. Yeah. And like I just mentioned, since Danny Ainge, the king of making big moves and pulling the trigger. Yeah, you got it, his name. Yeah, just as classic. Travis's classic description of Danny Ainge. I mean, that the reason why he got pushed out of Boston was for the exact opposite. Man, just depressing news after finally we get a Blazer win after 3 very bad games on the road trip. We finally get a victory and have to deal with this now. But yeah, if Olshey created a bad work environment and made people feel uncomfortable and did all those things, bullied them at work and stuff like that, he doesn't deserve to have his job anymore. So absolutely he should be fired. We'll see if that's the conclusion of this, but I don't think I mean, what are you going to do? Even if he's found by the search thing that he's innocent and that, yeah, he's a jerk, but like hasn't done anything wrong to warrant them firing him with cause. There's no way that people are going to let this go. It's over for him. Like, people have already decided he's done. So I think they're either going to have to, they're going to have to fire him if the search does show something, or mutually part ways if it doesn't. So yeah, there's no way they can bring him back in the court of public opinion after this. I mean, even people who have defended Olshey or who have been fine with like him as a GM, he can't recover from this after everything else that's happened this summer and what people will be saying about the Blazers and Jody if he's brought back after this. So whether this is a smear campaign or it's just, if it's something that needed to come out years ago and is finally coming out, unfortunately, if that's the case, Olshey should have been gone a long time ago, and hopefully they'll correct that. Better late than never, I guess. But if this was truly the case for 10 years, yeah, he definitely deserves to be gone and should have been gone before. Yeah, it's tough, but also a case of I kind of agree with Dro that the timing of it seems really weird, and but again, if it's true, I'd rather it have weird timing than not come out at all. But yeah, it's tough. Gabe, there's been a search party conducting interviews with employees and former employees. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it's still weird to me. If an investigation is ongoing, why he'd be at the game tonight with the team. That article says that he was being investigated, or they started their investigation earlier this week. So why was he at the game tonight? I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. And it's a lot harder to get rid of an owner than it is a GM. That's why Jody, but the stuff, I mean, was already known when Jody took over. So if they didn't prevent her from becoming an owner, if all the owners approved of it, knowing what they knew about her, if no new information came out, then there's nothing really they can do about it. And there's also, I think there was some weird things in the Jody thing too, where since they settled out of court, it was supposed to be sealed or something, and someone leaked it, or I don't know. So, yeah. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, that's probably a joke, but yeah, there's probably Stotts was very, very well liked, and Olshey is not. So there could be a little bit of resentment for Olshey keeping his job and Stotts not. But if this has been going on for 10 years, like alleged, that wouldn't make sense that it had anything to do with Stotts, because they both came here relatively around the same time in 2012. But technically, Olshey's been here less than 10 years. It's been like just over 9 years. So Alfred Aminu, go read Sham's Twitter, my man. The Blazers are investigating Neil Olshey for workplace misconduct. History of profane-laced tirades and bullying, making workplace uncomfortable. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know Stotts personally, so uh, um, I mean, most people like Stotts that interact with him. What's up, Jared? Says big yikes so far in all this. Yeah, Adam brings up a good point. That what probably happened is a lot of people were hoping that O'Shea be fired, so they didn't have to deal with this moving forward after last season. And then when he still had a job, decided they finally had to say something. We'll see though. But yeah, I mean, after this investigation, right, or whether he's found to have, promoted this workplace misconduct and a horrible workplace environment, and or this is a smear campaign or whatever. I don't think any of that matters. I think he's done. As soon as the facts come out about it, and I don't think the Blazers can afford a PR hit, whether that's right or wrong, to keep him on, since pretty much everyone will believe this is all true and not believe the search, the investigation, especially considering all that came out about the last investigation this team conducted. So I have no idea how any of this could result in O'Shea still being a Portland Trailblazer. Shervin, yeah, we talked about that. I know you weren't in here earlier, but yeah, that's where he got it from. I don't know. All right, we talked about that. That's why we talked about that at length. It doesn't make sense that he's with the team or at the game, pending an investigation about him that's been going on for a few days now. Can you fire someone for being an a-hole? Well, you can fire someone in sports. You can fire someone for anything. I guess legally it would come down to whether or not there was cause, if you had to pay the remaining of his contract. So that might be the only reason for the investigation, is whether they can fire him with cause or fire him without cause and have to pay him his remaining contract, which I believe still has 3 more years on it, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong on that, but somewhere around 3 years. So I wonder how, let's say we got a new GM and they weren't really allowed to make moves this year until next year or next offseason, and we go to like the Western Conference Finals or make a deep run or maybe win a championship. That would be weird how everything would be perceived and thought of moving forward, considering most people don't think that's possible. But Aeromancer says we should poach the entire Raptors coaching and management staff. Well, that's no chance of that happening, because we just hired a whole new coaching staff. We fired everyone that was a coach and brought in all our new assistants and new coach, and yeah, so that's not happening. the Bobby Webster thing. I don't know. Well, Adam, it might be a case where just like this season they don't want to like do something drastic. It might be a case where they just let this roster do its thing for 1 year and then make changes in the offseason. Fly Guy asked how much assistant coaches make. It's probably, I don't know, somewhere between a few $100,000 to $1 million, $2 million for the really good ones. Yes, Jody was sitting with Neil tonight. I mean, we have that, Isnay, you talk to us through chat, so that's what I'm doing, or I've been doing for the last hour. Yeah, I don't think that would go very well. Love you guys, but yeah. I mean, I guess you don't technically have to have a GM, but you almost have to. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it says that Jody Allen was the one who hired the investigative team. I don't know. So she obviously knew about it before tonight. I don't know. I think it's pretty clear, though, that Jody and Neil do not have beef. It's not coming from Jody wanting to get Neil out of there or anything. Yep. All right, so I think that's about time to wrap it up. We've been going for 2.5 hours. Man, just tough situation because Blazers get a win, hopefully get back to a positive momentum, and then this is kind of a damper. And yeah, so we'll see. Doesn't look like Neil's going to be our GM very anymore. I mean, Aeromancer, I've been talking to chat this whole time, so yeah, that's gotta be what she's thinking, that maybe the investigation will clear him. Maybe, I mean, I guess that's what she's hoping for. But I still think it's a bad look to have the person you're investigating be on your side, sitting next to you at a game. Don't think that's a good look at all. So yeah. I seriously doubt Wilshire will be there tomorrow night because he's not going to come to a game and sit next to him. Noah asks, is he going to be fired for sure? I mean, I say there's a 99.9% chance that he doesn't survive this, just because of, I mean, it's tough to recover from this on top of everything else people think of him already. So yeah. Yep. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. It's been a fun stream. Sorry we didn't have David, you missed a ton. Talked about the game. Tori was unable to get his computer to work. He's hopefully going to have that fixed tomorrow. But yeah, it's always kind of fun to do a solo stream, but also yeah, I'm sorry I'm not the most natural at it yet. Haven't done a lot of solo ones, so appreciate you guys sticking with me, and sorry for all the people that I got annoyed by and yelled at, but yeah. David, you, just in case you haven't checked Sham's Twitter, you should probably do that as well. But yeah, congrats on selling your house, your family house. But that's gonna wrap it up. Blazers defeat the Pacers tonight. A game where they almost blew after being in command, but they get the job done and win 110-106. They don't cover the 5.5 point spread, but that is irrelevant since none of us were playing picks against the spread today. But if you bet money on the Blazers, I apologize because you lost. What's up, OJ, man? Zach was just messing with his powers. He'll probably get those taken away momentarily next time Tori has access to his computer. But yeah, Blazers back at it tomorrow. We are playing the Los Angeles Lakers without LeBron James. We'll see who else doesn't play. For sure, Melo and Westbrook will be here, so fun night. Interesting basketball to watch, and we'll be right here. Hopefully Tori will have his computer fixed and we'll have our normal post-game show. If not, I'll have you covered back on a solo stream. But Tori says he's getting his computer looked at tomorrow, so he should be good to go there. You want to watch the drama unfold? I mean, there's not much more to talk about. But yeah. Trevin, it kind of helps when they have breaking news in the middle of it, I guess, something to talk about. But yeah. And whoever was talking about Westbrook getting in Dame's head, please have that come to fruition tomorrow. Hope Westbrook talks crap to Dame and Dame gets out of his funk. Yeah, I'd welcome that. But yeah, so and hopefully we're talking about another win, because if we win tomorrow night 5-5, I know that doesn't seem great, but just going into the season, probably would have taken that after 10 games. We still have a lot of room to improve. Seen flashes of doing things really well, flashes of our defense being good at times, flashes of the offense moving the ball and playing at a better tempo. And yeah, so hopefully in the future we see more of those and see that more consistently. And definitely we need to see that on the road. But tomorrow night would be a huge win to get back on track and to kind of steady the stretch of games we have moving forward. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to the mods that were in here, Zach, Trevin, and Jackson. And I think those are the only 3 mods in here tonight, right? Thank you to Tori for allowing me to do this stream solo. And appreciate all of you. Have a great night. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.